Hey guys, it's Alex coming to you from the VMP Ranch. You see the Death Star back there. Today the video subject matter is about the S550. That's right, the 2015 and up Mustang. Well, I'm going to talk to you today about key differences, options that were in this car that are not in the 11 to 14 model, and if you're it's sort of like a miniature buyer's guide, basically what to expect over the 11 to 14 models when you get an S550. Let's start with the obvious shit, okay? The looks. It looks great in my opinion. Initially when it first came out, it's a Fusion, it's a Fusion, it's a Fusion. It's garbage, junk. People got used to it real quick. Once Roush started coming out with styling kits, Cervinis, stuff like that, they said, well, let's get some things going on. But honestly, in stock form, I really like how the S550s look. It didn't take too long to get used to the look because the 11 to 14 style looked great, but it still was dated. It was still a retro styling. There is nothing retro about this car. Maybe they have some cues on the lights and stuff like that, but there is nothing retro. They, might have, kept in some looks from the 60s in terms of the rear lights being slightly angled. But honestly, that's like the only thing that you can tell that is even similar. So when it comes to buying when you think about buying a new Mustang, a lot of people say, should I get a 15 and up or 11 to 14? Well, that all depends on what you want to do. I'm going to be honest with you. This IRS is such a huge departure from the Cobra IRSs that it's not even funny. It's actually really good, pretty darn strong for what it is. This car with a bone stock IRS went 950s with stock axles, stock rear end, and all it has like a Sestita anti-hop kit in the back. That's it. Now it is an automatic, and that's the nice thing about these cars is that the auto is actually pretty damn stout in these cars. You're really not going to have many issues with D6R80. So key differences on these cars are the following. New computer. It's called the Tri-Core. The 11 to 14 Mustangs could probably rev up to about 7,500 RPMs, and then it hit like a soft limiter, and then at 7,700 RPMs, it hit a hard limiter. So you get like a throttle cut at 7,500, then at 77, you get that pop, 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 that really hard rev limiter. And the only way around it was calibration. You'd have to suck out the file with HP tuners, hit a patch that came out literally last year, and then you have the ability to rev higher. But it is still a higher limiter. These cars, in stock form, with calibration, of course, they can rev up to 8,200 RPMs without any special patching. You can rev this thing to the moon. The Tri-Core computer that come in these cars is way better. Process is way quicker. It is something that most of the aftermarket places like Cobb and all those places actually consider messing with because the computer is actually something that they see in German and Japanese vehicles, the Tri-Core. Okay, the engine. The engine on these cars are way better than 11 to 14. They have better rods. They're balanced better. When you're on the dyno and you rev these things up, they rev clean. And it is a very, very well balanced engine. And it has to be because it has the ability to rev to 8,000 RPMs with calibration. Stock form, I think it revs up to about 7,000 RPMs or 6,800. Then it cuts you off. Okay, so the other great thing about these cars, besides the engine, the heads are better. For some reason, the cars take more timing in stock form. Naturally aspirated Coyote 11 to 14, with nothing done to it, you could probably see about 24, 25 degrees of timing with good 93 fuel, maybe a little more. These guys, with calibration, they go right up to 28, 27, sometimes 30, depending on how sweet the fuel is. The knock sensors are happy. Just keeps adding them in more and more. Automatics do not come with Brembo brakes on these cars. Actually, you might have the option for it, but as far as I know, an automatic car cannot get Brembo brakes or track pack wheels. Now, when you hear the word track pack, Ford does not mean drag racing. Ford means turning. So when you see a car that has track pack wheels, Brembo brakes, it's meant to turn. A lot of people get that car and think they're going to go ahead and go drag racing with it, and then they find out, man, the brakes are kind of heavy, everything kind of doesn't really work out for drag racing purposes. Then they have to change things up. So remember, when it comes to the word track pack, Ford means road racing. Options on the S550 are way better than anything 11 or 14, anything at all. So these cars come with probably some of the better stock seats that have come in any Mustang. This is a premium package Mustang. I'm not sure if it's 401A, but I think it's 401A. It has the bigger nav screen right there. It has the heated and cooled seats. So it has both heated and cooled seats. And I'm telling you, for a Florida guy, that is priceless, okay? The automatics in these cars, same as a 6R80, same transmission, but you have the ability to rev higher in stock form with a custom calibration. The older 6R80s with the older computer, the Copperhead, was limited unless you did some fancy stuff in the background. So the interior is obviously way different, way nicer in my opinion than 11 to 14. If you're on the fence on 11 to 14 versus 15, get a 15. Why? Engine is better, interior is better, suspension is better. Everything is pretty much better. It's all about design. Do you like how the car looks 9 times out of 10? Disabling traction control on these cars are a little different. Remember the old 11 to 14 cars had it right around here? You hit the brake, press down on the traction control button for 7 seconds, and then advanced track off would flash on the screen. These cars have track modes, okay? They have different track modes, and you could be rolling. You don't have to be stopped. You could be driving, hit this up, the traction control button up for 7 seconds, and it disables everything. Not like the older 11 to 14s where you have to come to a stop and disable traction control. So when you're at the track, don't go to track mode. Nope. Fucking just hold it up, advanced track off, and it's all up to you. Dealerships have gotten real smart, and they've offered these cars with the option to finance in a supercharger, right? Like a Roush supercharger. They say, you know what? Like Lebanon Ford and all those places say, we'll put a supercharger in this car, give you a warranty, and roll it into the price of the car in financing. Very smart. The problem people have with the Roush supercharged cars that come from the factory is the calibration. They say it's powerful, but when you're being aggressive with it, when you tip into it really hard, when you are shifting really hard if it's a manual, there's like torque management things that come in and pull power away. Well, there's a way around everything, okay? I'm going to show you a quick little tip as to how to make that less likely to come into play and take power away. Obviously has our VMP blower on it, has a custom cold air intake that, again, you know, you could wait for the aftermarket to supply that intake, but we decided to give it all the air at once. So a couple of ways you can disable all of the traction control in these cars, especially if you have a Roush equipped Mustang like from Lebanon Ford or something like that. Go over here, that guy, you pull that guy, get him out of there. What you'll notice is when you pull that guy, all of the lights inside the car are going to light up. Traction control, ABS, it disables every single thing. Now, that's not going to make your car a magical, you know, horsepower killing machine. Ford still has stuff in the background to limit torque, but it's less likely to come into play once you pull that. If you don't want to pull that because you're weird about pulling fuses, over to the firewall side on the cold air, there's this little Christmas tree connection here, okay? If you unplug that, simply unplug it from the connector. See if I could do it with one hand. I don't think I can. There we go. Let me focus. Okay, so when you unplug this guy, this does the same thing as pulling the fuse on the other side. It disables everything. When we're on the dyno, that's what we unplug on these cars so that nothing comes into play when we do the dyno. Sometimes 11 to 14 cars, even if you turn off advanced track, the brakes start to kick in because the rear wheels are spinning and the fronts aren't, so the car wigs out. What we do is on 15 and up, we disconnect that guy or we unplug that guy. Now remember, if you do this with a Roush equipped vehicle, most of the torque management stuff doesn't come into play, but it is all up to you not to kill yourself, okay? Do not say Alex told me to do it and then end up suing me when you end up crashing. It is all up to you at that point to not kill yourself in these cars. Finally, let's talk tires. You cannot fit a 15-inch back here unless you swap out the brakes. The best, in my opinion, the best fitting and looking tire on a 17-inch rim, because that's what you're going to have to go with unless you swap out the brakes, like a set of bare brakes, and then put like a 15 by 9 3/4 wheel back there, is a 17 by 10, and they have Weld has them. This car has JMS wheels on it. There's a Race Star has a really nice fitting set of wheels for these cars, And in my opinion, if you have an automatic, you get yourself a drag radial. Unless you're making big boy power and want all the hook, you can get a slick like a 28 10 17, and you'll have all the hook. But it being an auto, it might be a little wiggy. But the drag radial technology has come a long way. The Mickey Thompson ET Street R is, in my opinion, the baddest bitch out there right now. Now this is a 305 45 17. Again, 305 45 17 on a 17 by 10 inch rim. In my opinion, it fits perfect. It doesn't stick out too much. It's just right, and you get all the hook. Now you stick shift guys can also get this tire in a bias ply compound. Again, bias ply for stick cars, drag radial for automatic cars. Well, that's it. Little quick video about the key differences if you're in the market for these cars. Great car, better engine, better computer, better IRS, heated and cooled seats. A lot, you have the ability to finance some of these with a blower installed with a warranty. You'd be crazy not to consider the S550. So if you're in the market, these are becoming pretty affordable, and don't tell me you can't get them for high 20s. Ben Calamer, friend of mine who's the MT82 King and the TR6060 King, came down to Florida, picked up a 5,000 mile 2016 Mustang for $28,000 out the door. So they're out there. Just do some looking around, do some shopping, get yourself an S550. You won't regret it. Talk to you guys later.